Hi there, I'm Professor Blackmore and welcome back to my channel and to another episode in my podcast series entitled Woman Evolve, the ProfessorBlackmore.com pre-show. And I'm coming back to you today with part B in this multi-part episode in which I will explore the question of what happened to Pastor Toure's first wife, Lori Roberts, after he dumped her, allegedly, to date and ultimately marry Sarah Jakes.
How did you reconcile the fact that your marriage is possibly ending?
It's out in front of everyone and you haven't even had a chance to process it, so I completely understand. You know, it was a difficult decision for me. I had my son at 14, and so I couldn't bear to have another church mess up, another church mistake, but the reality is I was suffering. At the end of the day, I was crying myself to sleep.
Okay, now, so just wrap your mind around that. I mean, it really gives a whole new meaning to one woman evolving. When you think about the fact, Sister Sarah, that at this time, you had just divorced your prior husband exactly a year prior.
She, in that moment, she turns to me that night after the prayer, in Jesus' name, amen, and she says, I'm coming to LA in a few weeks, and you are taking me to dinner.
Okay, hey. Now, listen, I want to add to this story.
And okay, now, let me get this straight. You're at a so-called Christian leadership event, no less, led by your own bishop father, at which time you're telling another woman's husband that he shall take you out on a date, and you're bragging about it on a Christian podcast. And so, in addition to discussing what happened to Lori Roberts after the Sarah Jakes trade-in, allegedly, I will also discuss what happened to Lori Roberts during the Sarah Jakes trade-in, allegedly. Now, I want to go back to my timeline here, having established that there was what they're calling an initial meeting that took place somewhere around the first part of February 2014. Then on February the 7th, 2014, Pastor Toure files for divorce from his wife, Lori Roberts, and then a month later, from March 6th through March 8th, the BishopTDJakes Leadership Conference took place in Orlando.
And so I decided, because I was being, Miss Independent Woman, and I was like, I'm going to see maybe if, he would like to take me to dinner. And so right before service was over, you know how sometimes you have to have a pep talk in your head, like this one, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it real fast. And so I had this pep talk with myself. So service is over, and I walk up to him, I said, I'm coming to LA, and you're taking me to dinner. And he said, yes, ma'am. And now we're engaged.
And so, after this woman's empowerment move, Sister Sarah, that so-called first romantic date does in fact take place somewhere around the end of March 2014. And while Pastor Toure and Sister Sarah are out whining and dining, Sister Lori Roberts is being served with another kind of hors d'oeuvre, i.e. Pastor Toure's divorce petition, as the divorce decree sets forth that, quote, the court acquired jurisdiction over and of the respondent, Sister Lori, on March 25th, 2014, when she was served with process, end quote. Now, it is reported that, quote, Toure proposed to Sister Sarah on September the 22nd, 2014 over dinner, where he slipped an expensive diamond ring on Jake's finger that he purchased while the two were in Maui, end quote. Meanwhile, as reflected on the court's docket sheet, due to Pastor Toure's refusal to continue to provide family financial support, Sister Lori was compelled to file a motion for request for order, that's what RFO stands for, on the issue of temporary child custody, child support, family support, and spousal support. And so wrap your mind around that. I mean, you mean to tell me you're slipping a quote, expensive diamond engagement ring, unquote, on Sister Sarah's finger while his wife, Sister Lori, is sitting at home with his 3 children without a dime to her name, so much so and to the extent that she has to beg the court to make him provide support for his family because the job that she did have in the church that she helped him to build over the years was no longer available to her because under the circumstances of him and his new fiance kikiing and cuckooing in the church about their new relationship all over the internet made it untenable for her to continue to working at said church.
And then he looks at me and he goes, how can I serve you?
I know how to talk up like that.
And that's when I knew I was in a bit of a pickle. See, I wasn't really prepared. I don't know how many of you all have been in, toxic relationships. And so you enter into the next relationship and you never know how much residue is left from that previous relationship. And so we're sitting at this table and he's looking at me and he's asking me, how can I serve you? And I never expected to come colliding headfirst into someone who understood what love meant.
And so you want to know how you can serve Sister Sarah while you're serving Sister Lori with divorce papers and y'all in the church bragging and laughing about it. And so I want to take a closer look at what Sister Lori says in her own words in her court filing that she was going through while Pastor Toure and Sister Sarah were in Maui buying her new expensive diamond engagement ring. And in her declaration, she filed with the court to support her motion for court order to compel Pastor Toure to make financial support payments. Sister Lori states, quote, Pastor Toure and I were married on December the 30th, 1995, and have been married for 17 years and 3 months. We have 3 children from our marriage, Lauren Roberts, Taya Roberts, and Isaiah Roberts. Lauren has now reached the age of majority and has graduated from high school, and as such, at this time, there are only 2 minor children. Now, these are his 3 children that were present at his marriage ceremony to Sister Sarah and that were present to support Bishop when he recently attempted to respond to the Diddy power bottom rumors. And you can see them sitting with their father often at the Potter's House Church. Now, Sister Lori states further that during the marriage, Pastor Toure and I started a ministry known as Saints United Ministries, doing business as One Church International and Artist Resource Center, which church is now under the Potter's House Corporation umbrella, now known by its California corporate name as the Potter's House at Oneal. Now, Sister Lori states further that during the marriage, Pastor Toure and I worked hard to build the ministry, and we put a lot of effort and money into the ministry to make it what it is today. Given the pending divorce, it was no longer feasible for me to continue working side by side with Pastor Toure. I remained in the home that Pastor Toure and I had been leasing in Encino, California, and where we had all lived as a family. And so, keep in mind, this man does not own any real estate for the edification of his family home. And I can only hope that they own the real estate where the church is located, but it is virtually a storefront location, so they were probably leasing that as well. But Sister Lori states further that on Thursday, September the 11th, 2014, while my husband has time to vacation in Maui with his girlfriend, allegedly, I received word from Pastor Toure's cousin that he notified the landlord of the Encino, California property that I needed to be out of the house by October the 12th, 2014. Pastor Toure has not notified me of this unilateral decision that he made. So, Pastor Toure doesn't even have enough respect for his wife of over 17 years to tell her himself that he's given her 30 days to get out of the house that they had lived in together with their children. In other words, based on what Sister Lori is saying, in 30 days, he will be evicting her and their 3 children from the home. And so, Sister Lori Roberts states further, while Pastor Toure had paid support for the children and I, including the lease payment for the Encino residence, which is approximately $8,000 per month, and utilities of $1,500 per month, he made it clear to me that he will not provide any further support without a court order. And on or about July 22nd, 2014, Pastor Toure told me that he would not provide me with any further support until there was an agreement. And as you can see, here is Pastor Toure's text message attached to the declaration as Exhibit C, in which he states, quote, "Hey, I didn't call back to argue, just to state my position. By law, I don't have to provide anything more than what I have provided without a court order." End quote. Sister Lori Roberts states further in her declaration, although Pastor Toure has provided me with funds since then, it is sporadic and inconsistent, and I never know from one week to the next whether or not he will provide anything. And over the course of the last several months, Pastor Toure has indicated that he wanted to have settlement discussions with counsel and the 2 of us. When my counsel requested the required supporting documentation, I received the following text message from Pastor Toure in which he states, quote, "I am presently fully compliant as is. However, I am going to provide supporting documents as a courtesy to you. You will not be receiving any information from the church. So if you're planning on going after the church, which is a completely separate nonprofit of which I am an employee of, and of which Pastor Toure, she helped you build over 17 years, baby boy. Just know that this is going to go to trial and become a long drawn out process, which neither one of us can afford. I have been more than fair from the beginning. I even offered you more than what the state would require according to my income. I don't know what else to do. The ball's in your court. I just want to know if I need to go ahead and file these final papers. Let me know. Talk to your attorney. No hard feelings. I wish you the best. Let me know, because this will also determine whether I give you money or just provide support for the children until we have an agreement." End quote. And so, Sister Lori states further in her declaration that even when I inquired about payments for his mother's vehicle, which is in my name, Pastor Toure responded with the following text message, quote, "Good morning. I am currently gathering all of the documents your attorney has requested. Until we have settled, I will only provide support for my children's needs. Please don't ask me about any bill support other than that. Hopefully, this will all be over soon enough." End quote. Okay, so you mean to tell me that he doesn't even have enough good credit at that time, allegedly, to put his mama's car in his own name, but he can find a way to buy an expensive diamond ring for his 16-year younger tenderoni? Anyway, Sister Lori states further in her declaration, because Pastor Toure knows that I am financially dependent on him, he is attempting to coerce me into settlement without having to provide the very basic requirement of complete transparency and financial disclosure as required. I have been the primary caregiver to our children and continue to be the primary caregiver to our children. I'm the parent who makes sure that the children's day-to-day needs are taken care of, including, but not limited to, preparing meals, taking to and from school, making sure that they exercise proper hygiene, shopping for them, transporting to and from extracurricular activities, assisting with their homework, etc. It is difficult to come up with a set parenting plan because Toure spends so much time with his girlfriend even though we're still married. Oh, excuse me, y'all. Because Pastor Toure's schedule is not consistent. I am completely financially dependent on Pastor Toure for my support and the support of our children. I do not have the funds to continue to pay fees for legal representation. My counsel assisted me with preparing the preliminary declaration and counseled me in preparation of settlement. Further, the income and expense declaration that Toure provided does not account for all of the personal items that the ministry pays on his behalf, including but not limited to the rent for the Encino house of approximately $8,000 per month. End quote. And so, in other words, what she's saying here is that the $8,000 for the lease of the home where they reside is paid for by the church, and as such should be included here on Pastor Toure's income and expense declaration as income from the church. Then, if he wants, he can just list it here in his expenses, but he clearly does not want to list it in his income because that will affect the amount of his monthly child support and even monthly spousal support. Now, again, keep in mind that this declaration was filed by Sister Lori Roberts on September the 19th, 2014, just days before Toure proposed to Sister Sarah. Now, clearly, one could safely assume that Sister Sarah was not aware that all of this was going on. I hope. But what do you think? Do you think Pastor Toure treated Sister Lori with the respect she deserved throughout this ordeal? Please let me know what you think by leaving your comments in the comment section below. And I hope you'll also give me a big thumbs up. And I hope you'll also consider donating to this video and my entire channel ministry by donating to the Professor Blackmore Cash App. And I hope you'll also subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell so you'll be notified whenever I come back with more hot tea from the church house, the courthouse, and everywhere else. And whenever I come back with part C in this podcast episode series, so you can find out what happened to Sister Lori after this ordeal. And please also follow me on TikTok and Instagram.